This is Julian, and this week's book is Radical Honesty, How to Transform Your Life by Telling the Truth by Blanton. And what he says here is that we all lie like hell. Okay, and the deadliest form of lying is withholding information, or say keeping information back from someone you feel would be affected by it. So for example, you may not tell someone what you really think, what you really feel, and we all do this. Okay, you may think you're above it, like, I never withhold information, I always tell the truth, I never lie. Bullshit. Okay, let me ask you this. Does anybody really know you? And I'm not talking about the front you put on or the front you fight so hard to maintain. I'm talking about the real you. Does anybody know the real you? Does anybody know, let's just say, your dirty little secrets? You know, for example, you being a secret hero to yourself, either as a victim or just thinking you're so great and better than everyone else. Does anybody know those little thoughts that go in your head? I doubt it. Does anybody know what a liar you are? Does anybody know what a fucking worm you are? I doubt that too. You know, you hide it, you withhold that, and you put on this front. Okay, and we all do this, and this is what keeps us trapped or locked up in the jail that is our mind, which is made up of all this fucking bullshit. Okay, and this here is what wears us out. This here is what causes massive or tremendous amounts of stress. And the only way out, guess what, is to get good at telling the truth. This is how you achieve, let's just say, psychological healing. This is how you achieve freedom out of that jail of bullshit that is your mind. Enjoy.
So I thought I'd start off with a quote from the book on moralism, and it goes, "As children grow up, they learn to abstract, generalize, and evaluate. They become emotionally attached to the summations and assessments they make in the course of learning how to make them. They learn to predict and control future events by remembering episodes that were painful and avoiding such episodes in the future. They remember episodes that were pleasant and try to recreate them. Life becomes a story, and the job is to remember the episodes, figure out the moral of the story, and use the instruction to live wisely and not get hurt or look like a fool. Growing up, children eventually get to the point where they can't stop living in their stories, and they continue like impulsive gamblers until they are finally exhausted or out of resources. This is moralism, a disease from which we all suffer." Okay, and we really all do. You know, we live in our minds constantly without relief, and we cling on to, say, our values, our beliefs, our ideas, abstractions, generalizations, principles, rules that we learned. You know, it's like this is what we depend on, and by doing so, we slowly lose touch with our senses. Okay, the being is dominated by the mind, and we cut ourselves off from experience, you know, by substituting, let's just say, our interpretations of reality for reality. And this is pretty key. You know, none of us really live in reality. We live in our minds. We live in this world of labels, judgments, interpretations. This is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. I should do this, I shouldn't do this. Where do I fit in? Like, where does my identity fit in? Not who I am, but my identity, the story of myself. Where does that fit in this little world? And this is what just suffocates us. Okay, we invent some fundamental lies about how life should be and shouldn't be. Again, right or wrong. And again, we're just attached to these interpretations. Okay, instead of experiencing and going with the flow of life, we become very rigid and stuck trying to manipulate reality to match these interpretations. Okay, and not only that, we beat ourselves up when we don't live up to, say, our imaginings about how we think we should behave or how other people think we should behave. We all start hiding behind the role that we put on or that we decided to take on in order to be good. And I mean, I love this. You know, this usually happens, say, when you're, you know, growing up or like in adolescence. Suddenly there's the question like, well, who am I? You know, your identity comes into play. It's like, well, who am I? How do I fit in? And you take on a role that is good, a role that, you know, is like, hey, it's a good role. It fits up to it lives up to my values. It's one that people approve of. This is the right thing to do, and you take on that identity there, and then you're just stuck in that identity. And this is what leads to lying. Not only is the identity a lie, it's not who you are, but now in order to preserve it, you have to lie. You have to withhold who you really are. Because you are going to do some things that don't live up to it. And suddenly, you have to withhold that information there. Okay, and this leads to another lie, and more lying. Okay, and we all have this. We have a public life, we have a secret life. You have a secret life watching this video. I have a secret life. We all do. We all have dirty little secrets that we don't want to put out there. Why? Because it doesn't live up to this image that we have. Okay, and basically who we are becomes a lie, a manipulation, a performance, a sales pitch. It's not really you sharing who you are, it's you performing the role you've taken on. Okay, and the only way to unshackle yourself from this role or from these interpretations or from your mind is to start telling the truth. Okay, and this is what this book is about. You need to destroy who you think you are and get back in touch with who you really are, okay, which is more than the mental images we form while growing up. Now, there are 3 phases or levels, let's just say, of telling the truth, and these may occur successively or simultaneously, or say one may achieve level 1, level 2, and then retreat after achieving, say, level 2, kind of freaking out with this newfound freedom. And they go, number 1, revealing the facts. Number 2, honesty about current feelings and thoughts. And number 3, exposing the fiction. Okay, so let's start with number 1, which is revealing the facts. And this is the first level, and this here is a matter of clearing up lies or false presentations, let's just say, from the past. Okay, so if you look back at your entire life, there were things that you withheld. For example, if you're in a relationship, you might have had an affair, and you didn't tell your partner about that affair. This here, level 1, is telling your partner about that affair. It also means, let's just say, even as a child, if you were withholding something from your parents, you were a little embarrassed, you didn't want them to find out, you might have feared abandonment, or like, oh, they're not going to love me if they find this out. That means telling your parents. It means going up to everyone that's close to you, including your friends, and telling them all those dirty little secrets, telling them the truth, telling them what you don't want to tell them. Okay, that information you've been holding back because it's either embarrassing, it feels like, maybe they're going to get upset, maybe I'm going to get upset, I'm going to deal with all these negative emotions. Put it all out there. And this really leads to the first level of liberation, let's just say, where suddenly you're no longer afraid of being found out. All the cards are on the table. You don't have to, micromanage, like, am I letting any secrets out? Is this okay? Is this okay? Like, we all do this. Before we talk, we judge what we're going to say. Like, does what I say fit into the image I'm trying to preserve? Does what I say fit in or live up to my values or these principles, so on and so forth? And if so, then you say it. And guess what? That's a lot of fucking energy being used to micromanage everything you say, everything you do. If suddenly you just put it all out there, you don't have anything to live up to anymore. It's like freedom in a way. You can actually take all that energy and invest it towards something a little bit more productive or creative. Okay, so you kind of achieve that first level and understand too that things may go down temporarily or get worse, let's just say, before they get better. Okay, if you were having an affair and you tell your partner, things may not go over smoothly. Your partner might not be like, oh, thanks for telling me. If you're having an affair right now, that means telling them about the affair you're having right now. It may not go over smoothly, but it's the only way your relationship will survive. Okay, tolerate that bumpy road in the beginning for things to then get better. Because if you withhold it, that's how things get worse. It's the same, say, with at work. Say you're withholding something from your boss. Okay, and it could be anger or resentment in a way. And we'll get to this. A lot of people repress that. We're like, well, if I tell my boss that I'm mad at them or that I'm angry, there's gonna be repercussions. I may get fired. I may not get this bonus. I may not get this promotion. But although that may be true, guess what? If you repress it, you're probably going to self-sabotage, and that resentment over time, okay, the results are going to get worse. You're going to lose your job, or something far worse will happen. Okay, so be willing to tolerate that temporary sting, let's just say. This is level 1. Level 2 is telling the truth and speaking forward in terms of current thoughts or feelings. Okay, so this is more on a moment-to-moment basis where whatever you're feeling, whatever you're thinking, tell the truth and put it out there. Okay, so that means going inside your body and just noticing, what am I experiencing? Not judging it, just describing it. Okay, and there's an important distinction to make here between the language of being and the language of the mind. Okay, the language of being is a descriptive language, and the language of the mind is an evaluative language. Okay, it's the language that is judging, that is seeing, does this fit into here? Does this live up? Is this right? Is it wrong? Don't do that. Simply describe and put it out there. So that means if you're upset, you have to say you're upset. If you're mad at someone, you have to say you're mad at someone. If you're talking to someone and suddenly you're not that engaged, that means telling them you're not engaged. If you're judging someone, you have to tell them, you have to put it out there. I'm judging you. I'm judging this person. I don't like this. I think I'm better than this. So on and so forth. Okay, it's kind of exposing those petty thoughts, exposing your petty little ego, exposing all the judgments you constantly have, and just coming to terms like, this is the truth. This is me. Stop repressing it. Whatever you're feeling right now, you're watching this video, what are you feeling? Maybe you're upset by what you're hearing. Acknowledge it. Like, I'm very upset by this. I don't want to tell the truth. This is making me uncomfortable. Even me, honestly, delivering this video, there's a part of me like, I don't want to tell the truth. I don't like this. It's too out there. It's like there's a little resistance inside of me that's going on right now. Another part is, I wonder if when I'm gonna fuck up the next segment, and you're gonna see a little cut screen that's going on right now. There's another part again. It's like a little anxious about this because I'm like, well, there are some stuff I'm holding back. There is my secret life that's telling the truth. Okay, so this is the level 2 on a moment-to-moment basis. Okay, and level 3 is basically the place where telling the truth and living the truth become the same. Okay, this is where you fully admit that who you are is not who you have been pretending to be. Okay, it's not this front. It's not just in the past. It's just everything you are. It's not, it's like you're pretending to be this person that's not you. You don't really know who you are. And in the end, basically who you are kind of just becomes this description centered in the here and now and less of a story, let's just say. Because that's us. It's like, I am this character in this story, and there's these values and principles. Like, no, you don't really know who you are. Okay, the you who exists is the being, let's just say. Okay, it comes before all this judgment and all these labels. Okay, and this here at level 3, once you achieve this level where you let go of your ego, let's just say, or of this self-image, you then have to let go of that ego that let go of the ego. Because then you take on an ego as well. You're like, I'm above it now, and that's your identity. Then you have to let go of that, okay? And this requires, like constant vigilance. It's not something you do once. Like, I tell the truth once and it's over. It's an ongoing game, okay? So these are the 3 levels. And telling the truth really sucks, okay? It's difficult to do. It sounds amazing, like radical honesty, tell the truth. I mean, who would fight against that? But it's not pleasant, okay? What it really means is, all those worst things you might imagine it means. What he says is that telling the truth means telling everything you have hidden, okay, that you've done in the past, to the very people who you think would be the most hurt or angry or surprised or embarrassed by the revelations. It means going to that dark place. Like that nightmare of, say, you going to school naked, it means that times 1,000. Okay, it's really putting it all out there. It means telling all your secrets, all your secret feelings to whomever you don't want to tell. And worse yet, it means being expressive of feeling. Okay, and once again, I can't stress this out. In order for things to get better, they have to get worse. Okay, it's not pleasant. Things are going to get worse. You're going to feel embarrassed. You're going to feel insecure. You're going to feel naked in front of the world. But you must do this, and most importantly, you must get used to this feeling. Okay, he says here, learning how to love insecurity. Okay, the person who tells the truth is the person who's the most free and liberated, but it's also the person who's the most insecure. Okay, why? Because guess what? By telling the truth, you let go of that self-image. Now, you had that self-image to benefit you. There was a payoff. You wouldn't have the self-image otherwise. Why? Security. You latched onto that self-image. You latched onto these beliefs. You latched onto these values, these principles, these ideas, these abstractions, these generalizations. Okay? All these gave you a sense of security. Now, obviously, beliefs won't ever give you a real sense of security. It gave you more of the illusion, let's just say, of a sense of security, but that's what you got from it. You let go of all that, suddenly, there you are. Naked, real, depending solely on yourself. And this here takes some getting used to. That's the learning to love insecurity. The unpleasant uncertainty takes some time to get used to, but eventually becomes tolerable and exciting. Kind of like, getting used to, let's just say, a roller coaster or learning how to enjoy horror movies. Okay, it's the same type of process here. And what he says too is that security just doesn't exist, nor should it. Okay, the being within yearns for freedom. And if you have this sense of security by, again, trying to cement everything and make it all fit, again, into this mental map, I mean, what kind of life is that? Okay, let go of this security you try to create for yourself and embrace the freedom that is life. Okay, and I said we get to this with anger as well. This is big. A lot of people consider anger life-threatening, like a life-threatening experience. We repress it. We never put it out. We withhold it. Okay, we imagine that it will injure everyone we love if we let it go off, and we, quote-unquote, sacrifice ourselves to protect our friends and family by smothering it and keeping it bottled up. Okay, and you'll know people like this. This is a characteristic of people pleasers as well, where they're just never angry. They're like, oh, it's fine, and then out of the blue, poof, they may explode. This should not be happening. Okay, if you're angry, let it out. Don't bottle it up. Okay, and what happens is we accumulate resentment for not being appreciated for sacrificing our lives to protect others, because this is big. You bottle up your anger. It's like you're like, well, no one's appreciating this. No one notices the sacrifice. Why don't they acknowledge this? I mean, I deserve more love. You start getting, let's just say, negative, and you start hating these people. Okay, the people you love, the people you're, keeping your anger bottled up just to protect, suddenly they become your worst enemies. Okay, you feel you should be appreciated, and this is important. Contrary to popular belief, people resent being withheld from and lied to. Okay, they don't want you to hold the anger in. They'd rather you put the anger out than withhold, let's just say, that realness. Okay, love is sharing what you have, even if you're having a fit. Okay, now with anger, there's a direct expression of anger and an indirect expression of anger. And what he says here is that be direct. Okay, when anger is expressed in such a way that both people are fully present to the experience, then the anger will eventually go away and the people will have a new opening in their relationship. Okay, it does make things worse, once again, for a short period of time, but much better over the long run. Okay, and it's human to feel angry. And I love this. It's like, don't judge your emotions. Don't place those labels on them. We're usually angry if we're angry. Like, oh, I'm angry. I feel bad about it. I should not be angry. And then it makes things worse. Or, you have, say, certain impulses, and then you feel guilty. It's like, no. Okay, you're going to have these impulses. You are going to be angry. Let them out. Okay, that's the second level of telling the truth. Embrace them. Don't judge them. They're not right or wrong. Okay, and this is big with anger. The problem is that we're raised to believe that we should get angry only at certain times, at certain people, and only if we are right. Okay? No. Okay, you're going to get angry no matter what. Put it out there. It's only once you put it out there and everyone experiences it, okay, the person you're angry at and yourself, you can move forward. And it also leads to forgiveness. Okay? You cannot forgive someone else without expressing your resentment directly to her or him. As long as it's bottled up, you're not going to be able to move forward. Okay? And the reason for forgiving your enemies, because you may be thinking, well, why would I even want to forgive that person, is for your own benefit. Okay? It's to forgive yourself, or you will stay trapped in moral condemnation in your mind forever. Okay? And the process of forgiveness involves the following 6 minimal requirements, and he lists these out. The first is you have to tell the truth about what specific behavior you resent to the person face to face. Number 2, you have to be verbally and vocally unrestrained with regard to volume and property. Number 3, you have to pay attention to the feelings and sensations in your body and to the other person as you speak. Number 4, you have to express any appreciations for the person that come up in the process with the same attention to your feelings and to the person as when you are expressing resentments. Okay, and this usually happens. You start expressing how you resent that person, and in the middle, suddenly, some feelings of appreciation will arise. Okay, why you like that person or why you like that person in the first place. Number 5, you have to stay with any feelings that emerge in the process, like tears or laughter, regardless of any evaluations that you may have about how it makes you look. And number 6, you have to stay with the discussion until you no longer feel resentful of the person. Okay, and really stay with it, because what tends to happen is, you go up to that person, you express your resentment, it gets a little worse, it gets a little awkward, and you kind of talk through it. And after that, both parties kind of resort to superficial conversations. Like, oh, so anyway, like trying to get back to how things were before. It's like, no, stay with it until it's fully gone. Okay, and he even challenges you here where it's like, hey, call someone up right now you resent and tell them why you resent them. Okay, now of course you are going to have to meet them face to face, but it's a first step. And I can challenge you to this too. It's like, hey, call someone right now. We all resent someone or something. Like, even if it's a small thing, tell that person. Most likely here, you're not going to do it. Okay, and what he says is that most people are too chicken shit to stand on the telling the truth. They can't even start. But at least here, if you can't do it, admit you can't do it. That's the beginning of it all. Okay, and lastly here, he also touches on telling the truth in couples. And I like this. He writes down a checklist for intimacy. Number 1, tell each other your entire life story taking about 3 hours each. Okay, and really tell the truth. Okay, don't withhold, don't try to make it look good. Try to be as honest and real as possible. Okay, again, all those little dirty secrets, put them out there. Everything you don't want your partner to know, make a list and tell your partner. Number 2, tell each other your complete sexual history, including how many people you've had sex with, what gender they were, and the details of what you did with them. Okay, all out. Number 3, and again, this is a little out there, but number 3, masturbate to orgasm in front of each other with no assistance from each other. Again, it's full on like, I gotta redo this one. That's like so out there. I gotta redo this one. Number 4, tell each other of any affairs, near affairs, necking, arousal, daydream, or flirtation you have engaged in since you have known each other. Okay, every time you've thought of someone else, every time you might have done something with someone else, tell the truth. Okay, and number 5, take turns with a half-hour monologue in which one of you agrees to be silent for 30 minutes while the other speaks. Tell your partner everything you resent them for and everything you appreciate them for. Okay, and once you have both taken turns, talk about the 2 monologues for at least half an hour. Okay, so again, it's like really putting it all out there. The same applies with sex. You know, if there's something that you're into, something that's not happening, it's like really just being real. Okay, this is how your relationships have a shot. This is what a relationship is about. Okay, it's about, again, putting it all out there. If you're living day to day withholding from the world and withholding from even your partner, I mean, that's not even a relationship at all. Okay, one thing I've been saying forever now is a relationship should be your own personal sanctuary where you can actually relax. You don't have to have your guard up. Okay, so this is what I got out of this book. I mean, I absolutely loved it. It's a practice that, I mean, it's really a lifelong practice that, again, I'm no master of. I'm working on, and I recommend you do as well. And if you resonated with this, definitely read the book. And yeah, start fucking telling the truth. Okay, get rid of that self-image, put it out there, embrace, again, the discomfort that comes with it. But just remember that if you don't, you will remain trapped in the jail that is your mind forever and ever and ever. It'll suffocate you, it'll bring you down, and the same as a relationship, that's no life at all either. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the video. Check the comments here below for next week's book, and as always, until next time.